U.S. Army Armor Magazine, March-April 1993. The Future Scout Vehicle, a Desert Storm endorsement by Captain John Tien, who recently conducted combat operations in M113 Gavin light-tracked armored fighting vehicles. He writes, having introduced 3 different scout vehicles since the 1970s, the Armor Center has outlined characteristics of the next scout vehicle designed to take U.S. Army reconnaissance into the next century in its white paper, Armor 2000, A Balanced Force for the Army of the Future. The Armor Center said this vehicle, the Future Scout Vehicle FSV, should have the following characteristics. 1. Self-defense weapon. 2. High mobility. 3. Lightweight body design. 4. Area surveillance tools. 5. Long-range communications assets. And 6. NBC countermeasures. Based on my Desert Storm experience as an Armor Task Force Scout Platoon leader, I endorse these 6 characteristics of the FSV, as well as advocating 3 more features to the vehicle's design. 1. A maintenance design which enables the operator to fix forward without direct support assistance. 2. Sufficient space on board for combat support and command and control assets. And 3. A built-in identification friend or foe system to avoid fratricide incidents. Since the Armor Center has published the paper on July 10, 1990, 1 month prior to the onset of Operation Desert Shield, I believe I can now offer an updated Desert Storm-influenced endorsement of the Armor Center's concept of the Future Scout Vehicle. The first Armor Center characteristic I endorse is the Scout Vehicle Self-Defense Weapon. My Scout platoon consisted of 3 M113A2 Gavin armored personnel carriers and 3 M901 improved tow vehicles. I had this M2 caliber 50 machine gun, the Dragon system, and AT-4s in our store of quick reaction weapons. But in the high-speed mobile warfare of Desert Storm, the M901 tow muzzlers were basically ineffective. Neither could we shoot them on the move, nor could we afford the stationary engagement time. Thus, we could not have quickly destroyed even an enemy armor personnel carrier. However, that was not our mission. In keeping with current doctrine, my Desert Storm mission was to engage the enemy with visual reconnaissance and leave direct fire to other segments of the unit. Therefore, although my platoon was limited in its direct fire destruction capacity, my battalion commander ensured that we were part of an advanced guard that could provide quick reaction tank support. Likewise, when we were screening the flank tank company provided us with similar support. When the enemy engaged us on the screen line, it was either by tanks that were to the direct front at ranges greater than 3,000 meters, or by indirect fire. Clearly, given the proper support, I needed only self-defense weapons to accomplish my forward and flank screen missions. The Armor Center cannot, however, make the characteristic of a self-defense weapon a stand-alone one. If the Armor Center wants the FSV to go deep and stay deep, it must couple its self-defense weapon with the ability to escape enemy detection, or if need be, evade enemy direct fire. They must ensure that the vehicle possesses high mobility. This characteristic greatly contributed to my survivability on the Desert Storm battlefield. When our brigade fought on Medina Ridge on 26 February 1991, our task force received enemy artillery across our flank. This artillery bracketed my scout screen line. The initial burst hit 25 meters to both sides of 3 of my vehicles, but due to the high mobility of the M113 series vehicle, we were able to quickly push the screen line forward and then toward the main body to evade the enemy artillery. These evasion drills worked to keep the artillery from impacting too close to our thin-skinned vehicles and gave our direct support artillery enough time to use counter-fire to neutralize the enemy's artillery. Page 18. The M113 Gavin's high mobility also came into play during a simple vehicle recovery mission during the ceasefire. My battalion commander tasked me to take a section of 2 Bradleys and 1 M113A2 Gavin 75 miles north towards Basra, Iraq, to recover a lost vehicle. The Bradley led until it hit an unexploded bomblet. The driver in the Bradley was too recessed from the front of his vehicle and could not see to his front to maneuver around the ordnance-littered battlefield. On the other hand, my M113A2 driver, who sat 6 inches from the front of the vehicle, was easily able to bypass the danger areas. Consequently, I put my protection Bradleys behind me and led the remainder of the mission, having the Bradleys follow in my M113's tracks. High mobility, therefore, was crucial to my vehicle surviving on the Desert Storm battlefields. A feature that is often linked with high mobility is a lightweight design. Such a design was key to the M113 Gavin Scout Series vehicle success in my task force for 2 reasons. First, twice as many M113s could go on the Saudi Arabian heavy equipment trucks as M1A1 heavy combat tanks. Consequently, upon my task force arrival in Saudi Arabia, the task force commander chose my platoon to be the first combat force to leave Al Daman port for Tactical Assembly Area Thompson in the desert. Second, the 13-ton M113 has a 3 mile per gallon fuel efficiency compared to just the 0.07 mile per gallon efficiency of the Bradley and the 0.3 mile per gallon efficiency of the M1A1 heavy tank. As a result, my platoon refueled only once every 24 hours, whereas the Bradleys needed to be refueled every 12 hours and the tanks every 6 hours. In summation, my scout platoon could have made the entire 300-kilometer 7-corps envelopment sweep without ever refueling. Thus, the lightweight design of the M113 Gavin gave it an advantage over the larger combat vehicles of the task force in terms of transport and fuel efficiency. What the Bradley lacks in weight and mobility relative to the M113 Gavin, the Bradley compensates in terms of night vision as an area surveillance tool. The answer to the Bradley's night sight on the M113 or Humvee is the PVS-7. This is not a satisfactory answer. The FSV must have a thermal night sight. The thermal sight would enable the scouts to perform during limited visibility times, which is when reconnaissance is most effective.